Hey, what's up? Mike here from Critical Bench, and I'm here with the man, Mike Gillette. We just saw his strength show down here in Bradenton, Florida, and I was looking over some course material for an upcoming certification that Mike's going to be instructing called The Psychology of Strength. And one of my favorite parts in that book and course material was an example where he was talking about being reactive or proactive in a dangerous situation. Now, in the example, it was a situation where you're alone in an alley with somebody coming towards you. And I'll let Mike talk a little more about that, but I definitely found that interesting because I used to be a big fan of this show called Scare Tactics, and I thought it was pretty crazy because every time somebody got scared in what seemed like life-threatening kinds of fake situations, they were just trying to scare the people, and it's a funny show to, I guess, to see people get scared. I liked it anyway, and most people just froze and didn't do anything, and if it was a real life situation, they probably would have died. So Mike, you want to elaborate a little bit on that example I'm talking about?
Absolutely, and that program example that you mentioned, I think is really good to highlight something that most people are not aware of. Now, in our course material, as Mike alluded to, we talk about proactive versus reactive thinking, and there are various elements to that. But in the context of what Mike's talking about here, particularly as it relates to fear, there's a common phrase that we're all familiar with, we've all heard, called fight or flight. And it sort of creates this expectation that, well, hey, if I'm ever attacked, if anything jumps out of me and takes me by surprise, I'm going to get a dump of adrenaline, and that's going to help me either, fight or flee the situation. And what many people are not familiar with is the third F option, and that is simply to freeze. Now, psychologists refer to that as hypervigilance, but just think of it as freezing in place. And Mike talked about this television show where people would be put in realistic looking situations, and essentially they become overwhelmed, they're overstimulated, and they shut down. Fear is one of those emotions that can basically just stop you in your tracks and cause you to just go like a turtle and shell up. And hypervigilance is not the kind of response that we want to have really to any situation. I mean, imagine that you're driving a car, it's been storming, the roads are getting bad, and you're not really paying attention. So when you start losing traction and going towards that other car that's oncoming, you don't want to just, freeze as you suddenly cognitively process all of the things that are about to take place. You want to be smooth about it and do what you need to do to evade the danger. If it's a situation where you were being happened upon in an alley, outside a bar, outside your workplace, by someone who looks potentially threatening, the one thing that we obviously don't want to do is just basically be so overwhelmed by all of the what-ifs that we freeze up. And the way that we kind of get past this whole state of hypervigilance is to do a little bit of homework. It doesn't mean that we have to become paranoid or obsess about a whole bunch of really unpleasant things. We need to understand that unpleasant things are simply a byproduct of life, and they always have been. If you have a fire extinguisher at home, you have contemplated the potential for your house catching on fire. Now, that's a bad situation. It's a scary situation, particularly if you have family that live with you. But you've thought about it. You've developed a plan. The fire extinguisher is your plan. If the fire extinguisher is inadequate to the task, then everyone just simply egresses from the residence. Okay? That's your plan. If you can plan for things that are unpleasant, just think back to when you were a kid. We had tornado drills in certain parts of the country. We had earthquake drills in other parts of the country. Those are pretty horrific things to think about. But if you have a plan, they kind of become what I say mentally manageable. And we want the stressors in life, the dangers in life, to be mentally manageable for all of us. So that gets back to really proactive thinking. Proactive is simply, taking the steps that you need to be prepared for the things that you need to be. It doesn't even have to be exciting stuff. I mean, life insurance, that's being proactive. So if you can just sort of be proactive in all the things that you need to do, you'll find that instead of feeling scared and paranoid, the thoughts that you may associate with contemplating negativity, it's actually quite the opposite. It's very much a mentally liberating thing. The more proactive, the more prepared you are, really the more you can relax. I can tell you, I'm one of the most relaxed, laid-back people I know. It's simply because I've taught myself how to think in that proactive manner.
Sums it up. That's awesome. Hey, what do you guys think? Leave a comment below this video. how have you reacted in the past when you're scared? Do you think it'd be helpful for you to kind of think about these things and be prepared for some different situations? All right, thanks a lot. Give us a like. Thanks, Mike.
All right, thank you, Mike.